Hey everyone, I was tagged. Tavin15, who also does origami tutorials on YouTube, challenged me to answer 5 questions about origami, which in turn he had been challenged to answer. So the first question is, what is the first model you ever folded? The first origami model, of course. And I'm not quite sure, because I think it was somewhere about in kindergarten, but my best guess is that it's this fortune teller model, which is very simple to fold, and it's an action model. There's basically 3 models I learned early on when I didn't even know the term origami, which is this model, and then a boat and a hat. And in Germany, well, probably most people know these 3 models without really thinking it's origami. And that's probably the first model I ever folded. The second question is, how old were you when you started with origami? So while, I did fold some origami, fold some paper in kindergarten, I wouldn't say that's when I started. Indeed, I had a second encounter with origami when it was actually called origami when I was about 10 years old, and I was in a summer camp, which means I did one workshop with some origami and I was really fascinated about it, but I didn't continue. So again, I wouldn't really say that's when I started with origami. However, that second instance I did remember when I was 23. That must be it, yes. When I was 23, I remembered that I had really enjoyed it, and I decided to give someone an origami book for Christmas, because they were at about that age then. And of course, I had to vote with them, and I found out that actually I enjoy that, and that's, I think, when I started with origami. So that was Christmas 2005, 23 years old. Yes, that's kind of late, but hey, why not? Why not start late? Better late than never, especially when you find something that you enjoy so much. The most complicated model. What is the most complicated model you've ever folded? That is very difficult to answer, and maybe very easy. So the most complex models I folded are probably the Ancient Dragon by Satoshi Kamiya, which is hugely complex, and an eagle by a Vietnamese designer that I can't pronounce correctly. So I inserted it into Google Translate. I'm just going to play it back, and perhaps I'm going to do a better job at kind of playing back than pronouncing it myself. So here we go. Right, so I could have never pronounced it that way, but I'll just add the name in written form. A beautiful model, very complex. So those are the 2 most complex models. Complicated, I'm not sure, because I guess if you have to fold for a very long time, that kind of adds some stress, at least, to the project too. And the longest project I've done is the Scaled Koi by Robert Lang, and that took, 15.5 hours. But it's not insanely difficult folding. It was just a try on patience, I guess. Number 4, how much money do you spend on paper every month? So I actually, first of all, buy more paper than I need. So you can see back there a full shelf with all paper. It's really just paper. This is my paper shelf. Plus, then you can look over here and you see these large sheets hanging. There's a couple of those. So I have lots of paper, and I still buy paper. So yeah, I guess it's just I'm addicted to buying paper. I just see nice paper and I want to get some of it. And I do use the paper, it's not like that, but I don't use as much as I buy. That's why I can also do paper giveaways and stuff like that. The second point is that I don't regularly buy paper. I buy paper every couple of months, and then lots of it. and then I don't buy any paper for quite some time. So I thought the fairest thing to do is check how much I spent this year so far, and then divide it by 5 because it's been 5 months, and that should give you a good idea. So I checked, and I came to an average of $35 US, which is quite a bit, but I don't mind because, well, I have enough money to spend on origami, and I enjoy it. But obviously I could buy much less paper and spend much less money on paper and still have more than plenty to fold beautiful things from. The other thing is I do like to buy specialty paper, which is more expensive than your normal old printer paper. And the last question is, what is your favorite design? And that's the hardest to answer. And indeed, like you couldn't even nail me down to a specific designer. You couldn't nail me down to a specific area. Indeed, it's been remarked that it's quite unusual that I fold in very many different areas of origami, be it kind of abstract and geometry, tessellations, animals, also modular. You know, I'm not as in the beginning I didn't like modular origami as much, but nowadays it's not quite as true anymore. So I fold from very many different designers. I fold quite simple models, intermediate, high intermediate, up to complex, super complex sometimes, although not very often. And I just do a whole range of things. I'm also not totally against cutting, like I've done some kirigami. I'm okay if you sometimes use glue if, you know, the models don't quite hold together. Although usually I do prefer to have a model that has a locking mechanism that goes okay without glue, but if for transportation purposes you add some glue so that it doesn't fall apart, I'm okay with that. Which really doesn't answer what my favorite design is, it just answers that I have a hard time choosing. If you check my videos or if you check my gallery, you can see a couple of my favorites because I just fold models that I think look really neat. I will say that every once in a while there's a model that I especially like and it's kind of one of my favorites, but like there's so many favorites that I will have. And perhaps I can say what is one of the models I teach most often. Because that, I guess, is an indication of something that I appreciate a lot, and that is the Alexander Swallowtail butterfly by Michael LaFosse. Because it's simple design, you can show it even to a beginner with some patience, perhaps, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Michael LaFosse actually put an instructional video on that butterfly online, and I'll just include a link in the video description with kind of some explanation how to get to that exact video, because there isn't a direct link just to that video. So those are the 5 questions kind of answered, and now it's my turn to tag people, and Tavin tagged 2 people, so I guess I'll tag 2 people too, and that will be Joe Nakashima, partly because I want to challenge him to show himself on camera or speak a bit, I'm not sure, and Tadashi Mori, and there could have been so many others like Jeremy Schaefer and Tom Hull and just tons of other people doing cool origami videos out there. But I kind of went with Joe Nakashima and Tadashi Mori. So I challenge you to answer those questions and pick some other guys, and let's see how far this goes. Okay, happy folding, bye-bye. Felix says bye-bye too, and have fun.